Notice if you're holding any areas of tension. Noticing areas where you're feeling nice and relaxed. We'll do a quick scan of the body, starting at the toes. Maybe give them a little wiggle. Hello, toes. And maybe flex and point the feet a couple of times, just noticing how they're feeling. Gently turning the ankles, little circles. Moving up the legs. Maybe just slightly picking the legs up, slightly bending the knee, and settling the legs back down. And slowly moving up towards the hips. Maybe wiggling the hips just slightly on your mat. You could lift them and settle them back down. Noticing how your back feels, starting with the lower back. Visualizing yourself going up the spine. Notice how that's feeling, making sure that your shoulder blades are down away from your ears, nice and relaxed. Feeling your arms wherever they might be. Maybe they're resting on your tummy, maybe your hands are resting on your tummy, or maybe your arms are out beside you. Checking with your arms, maybe bending at the elbows and releasing. Turning some small wrist circles and release, and then closing and opening your fists and wiggle the fingers, releasing energy. Bring your focus back to your belly, noticing how it gently rises and falls as you breathe. Seeing if you can slow your breath down, smooth it out. Bringing your focus up to your throat, swallowing, trying to release some tension. Into the face, particularly the jaw. You could open and close your jaw a couple of times just to release some energy. We carry so much tension in our jaw. And feeling your face, your forehead nice and relaxed, not having to make any expression. Once you're feeling relaxed, focus in on your breath. Start cultivating your practice breath. So inhaling in through the nose. Hold it for a moment, out through the nose. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Find your own rhythm. Rhythm that works just for you. Might be slightly shorter or longer than the rhythm I set. Settle into it. Try and find that flow so your breath is really effortlessly flowing back and forth between inhale and exhale. You can take a moment to form an idea in your mind of an intention that you would like to set for yourself or for someone else or for the world in general. Something you'd like to manifest. Maybe you can boil it down to one word. Something like peace, healing, love. Just take a moment to say your concept or your word to yourself 3 times in your own head. And when you're done that, take a deep inhale, exhale, and then you can begin to move slowly. Maybe bring the arms out, or if you'd like, you can bring the arms up overhead. Stretch long, long, long on your mat, just like you're waking up all over again. And then when you're feeling ready, gently roll over onto your right side and bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position on your mat. So coming onto your mat, you can sit up nice and straight. Your legs could be crossed or they could be relaxed out in front of you. It's your preference. We'll sit up nice and tall. Your hands can rest on your knees. And we'll start by gently bowing our head forward and down. Letting it just hang for a moment. Let the weight of your head provide some traction. And then inhale, slowly roll up, gently looking up. Maybe you can just look up a little bit, or maybe you have a little bit more range. Maybe you can look a little higher. Coming back through center, chin comes down to chest. And then inhale, roll back up through center and looking up. And come back to center. Lower your chin back down to your chest. You can begin taking circles with your head and neck very slowly. Paying careful attention to how your neck is feeling. If at any point you find a spot that does not feel good, you can maybe just do half circles and roll the head back and forth if you're not feeling the full circle. If you are doing the full circle, you can gently begin to circle in the opposite direction. And bring your head back to center. We'll do a little bit of work for the shoulders. So if you know that you have a shoulders that are feeling a little tender, you might want to leave this out of it or just moderate your range of movement. So we'll bring our arms up straight overhead, our hands up straight overhead, and just see how far back you can let your arms go. So your chest is really opening here. Breathe into it. And then bring your arms back up overhead. Bring them down in front of us. And then clasp your hands behind your back or just pull the one hand back. Maybe even just touch the mat behind you. If you can interlace your fingers behind you. And then attempt to straighten your arms a little so that, again, you're really opening your chest. And gently release that. Come back through center. Again, raise the arms up. Try and release the hands back. Open the chest. And then again, arms come down in front. Bring them behind you or bring one behind you, whichever works for you. Clasp the fingers and then straighten the arms gently. Let the chest get broad. Breathe into it and release. We'll bring our arms out into a T on either side of us. And then you can bring the right arm underneath the left. You bring your hands onto your shoulders, or if you'd like, you could continue wrapping for eagle arms, whichever you choose. Push the elbows up, duck the head forward and down, really press back in the upper back. So you're really rounding the upper spine. Your head is lowering, head and neck are completely relaxed. Just pushing back between the shoulder blades. Breathe. And release. Arms can come out again. This time we'll bring the left arm onto the right. Either bring the hands onto the shoulders or continuing for eagle arms. Pushing the elbows up. Forehead ducks down. Really rounding in the upper spine. Push back between the shoulder blades. And release. Arms can come out and then back down onto your lap. We'll bring the right hand onto our left knee. Left hand comes behind you on the mat. Sit up nice and straight to begin. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, twist towards the left. Allow yourself to breathe gently. And with each exhale, see if you can melt into this twist a little bit more. Try not to lead with the head. Let the head be very relaxed. Feel the twist coming right from the base of your spine. One more deep breath. And release your twist. This time we'll bring the left hand to the right knee, other hand behind us. Again, inhaling to get tall. Exhale to twist towards the right. Again, letting the exhale help us melt into the twist, making sure that we aren't cranking the head around. One more big breath. And release. We will bring our feet flat onto the floor or the mat, sitting up nice and tall. I want you to consciously come back onto your tailbone. Extend your arms out to either side of your legs, really energetic fingers. Come onto the toe tips and then see if you can lift your legs parallel to the ground for boat. You can either point the toes or really flex the toes, peeling them back towards you. Coming into a balance. Remember, if that's not working for you, you can keep your toes down. Breathing really nice and strong here. Big breath. See if you can hold it for one more breath. Exhale. Feet can come down to the mat. Sit up nice and straight. And then bring your chest forward onto your knees. You can wrap your arms under your legs. And just duck your head forward, coming into a very restorative forward fold. Taking a few breaths in this fold. Maybe you start to feel sensation in your lower spine. Deep breath. And then you can slowly roll up to sit. We're going to bring our legs around the side and come into table. So knees will be directly under our hips. Shoulders are directly over the wrists. We'll start with cat and cow. So inhale, the belly comes down, the hips come up, gently look up. Breathe in, exhale, reverse that motion. So head comes down, hips come down, push up between the shoulder blades. Inhale, belly down, hips up for cow. Exhale, round the spine up for cat. Inhale, come through cow. Exhale, back to cat. We take 3 more rounds of movement. Make it nice and slow. Notice how each vertebra in your back is feeling as you move back and forth between these 2 extremes. When you are finished your 3 rounds of cat and cow, come back to a neutral tabletop position. We'll shuffle our feet or just slide them over a little bit towards the right, and then look over your right shoulder back towards your feet. So you're almost making a C shape with your spine. Gazing back at the right feet, and then you can come back through center. So feet come straight back behind you, head to center, and then we'll bring the feet over to the left and look back over the left shoulder. And you can gently come back through center. We're going to lower our hips back onto our heels. Bring the forehead down. We're going to come into a child's pose. If your arms out ahead of you doesn't feel great, you could bring them back towards your shoulders, especially if you have one that's bothering you. But otherwise, hands straight up overhead, forehead comes down to the mat. Just taking a nice deep breath here in child's pose. I want you to come up onto your fingertips and walk your fingertips over to the right. Feel the left side of your body getting really long. Try and almost pull your left hip back so you're really lengthening through the left side. Breathe deeply. Feel your rib cage expanding here. And then slowly walk those fingertips back to center. Stay for a breath. And then walk them over to the left side. Feeling the right side of your body getting long. Imagining you're just pulling that right hip joint back a little bit. Stretch it out. Breathe into the ribs. Really feel that space opening up. One more big breath. And walk the fingertips back to center. And if they're anywhere else, bring them back under your shoulders, coming back up to table. Your hands are going to rotate outwards, so your fingers are pointing back towards your body. You're going to do a little bit of that wrist work. So fingers are pointing back towards you, but you've rotated your wrists outwards. We're going to gently lower our hips back and just begin to feel a stretch right through the carpal tunnel area. So your forearms and your wrists are stretching. Only come into this until you find a good place for you. Find an appropriate amount of sensation for your body. Breathe into the stretch. And release. You can come back straight up. Release the wrists, so rotate your hands back the right way around. Bring your bring your feet up, so you're curling your toes under. And then again, you're gently lowering your hips back, maybe down all the way to your heels. And you're putting a lot of weight onto your feet. You're really stretching those toes. Your toes are curled under. If you like, you could walk your hands back. Maybe you even walk your hands back up onto your thighs or come up over your hips entirely. So maybe you're sitting upright with your hands on your thighs. If that's feeling like you took on too much, you could bring your hands back down onto the mat. And walk the hands forward. Release the feet. So you're relaxing your feet again, and gently just tap the tops of your feet against your mat. Just release that stretch. We're going to come up to stand on our mat. So your choice. You can get up from table, or if you like, you can turn your toes under, push up and back, come into downward dog. If you're coming up from table, see if you can roll up to stand as slowly as possible. If you're in downward dog, slowly walk your toes up towards your hand. And then roll up to stand. We'll all meet up standing at the top of our mat. Once you come to the top of your mat, just check that your feet are a narrow hip width apart. Standing up nice and straight. Your core, your abdominals are nice and engaged. Your bum is squeezed in. Standing nice and tall. Shoulders are broad. We're going to inhale, bring the hands up. If you're not feeling this in your shoulder, maybe you can just bring one arm up. Exhale, forward fold, gentle bend in the knees. Folding all the way down. Fingertips coming down toward the mat. We're going to hang out here in ragdoll for a few breaths. So your fingertips could stay down, or you could cradle one arm and in the other. Gentle bend in the knees, but this is a deep forward fold, so we're feeling the hamstrings beginning to wake. And you could start adding in some gentle movement, swaying back and forth. Breath is flowing nice and steady. If you like, you add a little bit of a bounce into this movement. Notice how your hamstrings are feeling. Making a note of what feels good, what works for your body. And then slow down any movement you're doing. And come back to center. Fingers can come back down to the mat. Inhale, slowly roll up to stand. Slow, slow, slow. Coming back up. If it's appropriate for you, raise your hands up overhead. Bring your palms to touch. You could even look up, gaze up at your palms if you like. Take a big inhale. Exhale, forward fold again. Knees are nice and soft. Fingertips come back down to the mat. Stay for a breath. Inhale, hands can come under your shins. Come halfway up. Exhale, release down. Fingertips come down. We'll repeat that motion. So inhale, hands can come to the shins. Head comes torso comes halfway up. Exhale, release. Fingertips come down, forward fold. Plant your hands on the mat. Generous bend in the knees here. Step your feet to the back of the mat. So you're momentarily coming through a traditional push-up pose and then bringing your knees down to the mat, untucking the toes. You should be making a long diagonal line from your shoulders all the way back to your knees. Take a big inhale. Exhale, slowly, slowly, slowly lower. Squeeze your elbows in towards your body. Gently come down to the mat. Forehead comes down. Hands are under the shoulders. Toes are pointed. Inhale, head comes up, neck comes up, chest comes up. No pressure in the hands. Coming up for cobra. Exhale, forehead comes down. Let's repeat that one. Inhale, head, neck, chest up. Exhale, forehead comes down. One more time. Inhale, head comes up. All the way up, hold it. Exhale, forehead comes down. You can turn your toes under. Push back up onto your knees and hands. If you like, you could come through table, or you can turn your toes under, push up and back for downward facing dog. Just taking one breath in downward dog. We're slowly coming up through table. Exhale. If you're in downward dog, slowly walk your feet towards the top of your mat. And no matter where you are, you're slowly rolling up to stand. Inhale, arms come up overhead or one arm up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Fingertips come down to the mat. Inhale, hands to shins, halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. Hands come down. Feet again come to the back of the mat and lower your knees down. Nice long diagonal line from knees to shoulders. Inhale here. Exhale, slowly lower down, squeezing the elbows in towards your body. Coming all the way down, forehead down. Inhale, head comes up for cobra. Exhale, forehead comes down. Turn the toes under. Push back up to table or up through downward dog. Stay in your table or downward dog for one breath. And then gently come onto your feet or walk your feet towards the top of the mat. And then slowly, slowly come up through stand. Arms can come up overhead, palms touch. Exhale, coming down. Fingertips come down to the mat. Then bring your hands to your shins. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. Hands come down. Feet come to the back of the mat. Lower the knees down. And then one more time, we're going to lower really slow. So inhale to begin. Exhale, squeeze those arms in. Lower your belly as slowly as you can down to the mat. Forehead comes down. We're going to stay on our bellies here for just a moment. Well, a few moments. We're going to do some work here. So your forehead is down on the mat, but you can take your hands and have them down by your sides. So the backs of your hands are pressing into the mat down by your hips. You're going to take a big breath and then bring the head up. Exhale, bring everything else up. So legs and arms come up. You're lifting from the lower spine. It's like you're a superhero flying through the air, coming into locust. Breathe deeply. One more big breath. Exhale. Everything comes down to the mat. Your hands can come underneath your forehead. Bend at the knees. So your legs and feet come up. Your feet are up towards the ceiling, and then just gently rocking the legs back and forth, just releasing the lower spine. And then we'll release our legs back down to the mat and come to your locust one more time. So hands come back by your hips. Backs of the hands are pressing into the mat. Inhale to begin. Head comes up. Exhale, lifting everything else up. Your toes could be pointed or flexed, but your hands are always really energetic. Splay those fingers out. Lift from the lower spine. One more breath. See if you can get a little bit higher. And exhale. Come all the way down again. Hands can come onto your forehead. Bend at the knees. Windshield wiper the legs slowly back and forth. You can release your legs down to the mat again. Hands are going to come underneath your shoulders. Inhale, bring your head up. We're going to bring our hands out in front of us so our weight is resting on our forearms. So your arms, your elbows are directly beneath your shoulders. Your arms are straight out in front of you. All your weight is on your forearms. Coming up through Sphinx. So really extending the lower back here. If this is feeling a bit too much, you bring your hands towards one another and just lower a little bit. Take some of the bend out of your spine. If you're really liking this and you want a little bit more extension through your lower back, you can push into your hands, bigger back bend here coming up through seal. Wherever you are, just stay for a few breaths. One more breath. Bring your hands back underneath your shoulders. Push up onto your knees and then bring your hips back onto your heels. Your knees could be close together to really release the lower back, or if you want to get a little bit more into your hips, bring your knees out wider apart, toes come together, hips come back onto the heels, coming into a child's pose. Take a few moments here to rest, check in with your breath. Notice how it's feeling. If your breath has gone a little bit astray, just encourage it back into that nice flowing rhythm. And then you can come back up onto your knees and hands. Again, yogi's choice. You could stay in table for a moment and then come up onto your feet, or you can come up through downward facing dog and bring your feet under you to the top of your mat. And slowly, slowly roll up to stand. We'll all meet up at the top of our mat. Just gonna take a sip of water. It's dry in here. Okay, so time to get into our warrior. So today we're going to do warrior 2. So we'll start with our hands on our hips. I want you to come onto your left foot and then step your right foot back far. If that's a little tricky, you could just find your way into this pose the easiest way for you. So your left leg is forward, really bent. Your right leg is back. You're pressing into the outside edge of that right foot. Your hips are going to square towards the front, but they'll probably be on about a 45-degree angle. Left arm comes directly out in front of you. Right arm comes back. Oh, thanks, Kitty. Thanks for drinking my water. That's awesome. Inhale to get tall. Exhale, I want you to sink into that front knees. You're lunging forward, coming into your warrior two. See if you can get that left thigh to almost come parallel to the ground. Push your left knee outwards, really powerful through your feet. You're going to inhale the right arm forward. Exhale, draw it back as if you're pulling a bow. You can look back toward your right hand if you want. Inhale, right arm comes forward. Exhale, slowly draw the right arm back. Inhale, right arm comes forward. Exhale, draw it back. One more time. Inhale, right arm forward. Exhale, draw it back. Come back to your warrior two. Rotate your left hand so your palm is up, facing up towards the ceiling. And then lift your left arm up. Right arm is going to come down to the back leg. Left arm is up overhead. If you want, you could even gaze up towards your left hand, coming into reverse warrior. Big breath. Oh, I know you're feeling this in the thigh. Breathe into it. One more big breath. Exhale, come back through warrior two. Stay here for one breath. And then gently straighten the left leg. Maybe leave a little bend in the knee. Stay for a couple of breaths. That was big work. One more breath. We're going to reach our left arm as far forward as we can. Then rotate the left arm down. It could come to the thigh. It could come to the shin, maybe even down to the floor. Right arm comes straight up overhead, pointing upwards. If that's a little too much in the shoulder, the arm could be back diagonally, but your palm is open, fingers are energetic. If you like, you could even try and gaze up toward the right hand in triangle. Deep breaths. No matter where you are, bend more deeply into the left leg. Slowly rotate back up, coming through warrior, one big breath. Hands can come down to the hips, and then bring the feet back together, and we'll come back to the top of our mat. Whew, that was big work. Shake out that left leg a little bit. Get the blood flowing there. Come back to stand. Nice and tall, shoulders are back. Putting your weight onto your right foot. Left foot steps back this time. Shuffling the feet a little wider apart if you need to find your appropriate stance. Really push back on the back edge of the left foot. Right foot is pointing forward. Left foot is parallel. Right arm comes forward. Left arm comes back. Big breath in. Exhale, sink into warrior two. So the right leg is really bent, trying to get that thigh parallel toward the ground. Hips are on a 45-degree angle. Push the right knee outward with the big right toe. Good. We're going to inhale the left arm slowly forward. Exhale, draw it back as if you were pulling a bow. If you like, you could look where your arm is going. So inhale, left arm comes forward. Exhale, slowly pull it back. Inhale forward. Exhale, pull it back. One more time. Inhale forward. Exhale, pull it back. Come back to warrior two. So right arm is forward, left arm is back. Rotate your left palm upward. Your right palm upward. Bring your left hand down to your left thigh. Inhale, right arm overhead. Maybe looking up at the right hand. Coming into reverse warrior. Feeling a stretch through the right side of the body. Keep lunging into that warrior. One more slow breath. Come back through warrior two. So left hand comes back off the left thigh. Right palm rotates back toward the ground. Inhale. Exhale gently. Straighten the right leg, but not completely straight. Don't lock it out. So leave a gentle bend in that leg. Staying for a couple breaths, maybe giving your arms a rest for a second. And then arms come back out. Right arm reaching forward as far as you can go. Reach, reach, reach. And then you can bring that right hand down to the thigh, to the shin, or even down to the ground. The left arm is pointing more or less up overhead. If your shoulder's bothering you, maybe it's more up on a diagonal. Wherever you are, your fingers are splayed out nice and wide. Energetic hands. Breathing into your triangle. Maybe you want to challenge yourself, gaze up toward your left hand a little bit. Wherever you are, just try and stay for a few breaths. And bring the bend back into your right leg. Bring your right hand up, slowly rotate back up through warrior. Stay in warrior two for one breath. Hands come back to the hips and walk your feet in towards each other. Good work. Whew. Maybe shake out that right leg a little bit, get the circulation going. And we'll come into tree now. So if you know that you want a little bit of help from a piece of furniture or from the wall, you can find that place right now. We'll start by checking our stance. So feet are narrow hip width apart, standing up straight. The belly is engaged. The bum is squeezed in. Shoulders are broad. Hands are resting by your side. Just feel yourself standing tall. You can close your eyes. And I want you to notice where the weight is over your feet. Slowly, I want you to bring your center of weight forward onto the balls of your feet, maybe even into the toes. Come back through center. Bring your weight back a little bit so that you feel the majority of your weight is in your heels. And then come back through center. And try and find for you the most optimal place where you're feeling the most grounded. Bring your hands onto your hips. Put your weight over onto your right leg. You can come onto the toes of the left leg. Inhale the left leg up. Exhale it out to the side. You can plant it against the shin or the ankle, or even leave the toes down. Hands come through heart center. Core stays nice and engaged. Bum is squeezing in. Rest your gaze on something that's not moving a couple of meters ahead of you. So allow your gaze to stay there. When you're ready, you can grow your tree. One more breath. Hands can come back through heart center. Down to the hips. Inhale the left leg up. Exhale it down to the ground. Shake out that right foot. Get the blood circulation going again. And then we'll set up for the left side. So again, feet are narrow hip width apart. Standing up nice and straight. Tall like a mountain. Shift the weight over the left foot. Coming onto the right toes. Inhale the right leg up. Exhale it to the side. Again, could come to the shin, the ankle, or even toes down. Hands can come to your heart center. Take a breath. When you're ready, grow your tree. Gaze is resting on a non-moving point. Hands can come back to heart center. Stay for a breath. Hands come down. Inhale the right leg up. Exhale, lower it slowly with control. Good. Shake out that left leg. Get the circulation going. We're going to come down into a squat. So if you know that you prefer to come into a fully seated squat, you can bring yourself down onto your mat now. If you know that you prefer to come into squat from standing, bring your feet out a little bit wider than shoulder width. Toes are pointed out on a 45-degree angle. Standing up nice and tall, hands can come to heart center. Inhale, exhale, slowly come down. If you're on your mat, you're bringing your knees out wide, bringing your elbows to the inside of your knees and gently encouraging them outward. If you're coming down from standing, maybe just shuffle around a little bit when you come down and then find your squat. So you could be sitting, you could be on your feet. No matter where you are, just close your eyes and settle in. We're going to stay here for 10 breaths. Just notice your own breath. Two more breaths. And if you're on your feet, you can slowly lower yourself onto your bottom. If you're already seated, you can just bring your elbows from inside your knees and bring your knees together. Feet are planted on the mat. Let your torso come to rest on your thighs. Arms can wrap under the thighs. Lower the head down. Maybe the forehead comes down towards the knees. Just totally relaxing here. Coming into a nice restorative forward fold. If you'd like to take on a little bit more, you could straighten your legs in front of you and then continue folding forward, maybe walking your hands down on either side of your legs. If you're coming into a deeper forward fold, peel those toes back towards your body, really active feet. And slowly curling back up. Bring the legs out in opposite directions. So you're coming into a V, a wide-legged stance, sitting up nice and tall. Turn your torso toward your right leg. Inhale to get tall. Exhale, walk the hands forward, bowing over your right leg. Breathing deep. On your exhale, slowly come back up. Turn your torso so that it's directly facing your left foot. Again, hands can rest on your thigh. Exhale, walk the hands forward. Coming into a gentle fold over the left leg. And slowly roll back up. Torso comes back to center. Hands can come onto the ground in front of you. One last fold. So sitting up straight. Exhale, walk those fingertips forward. Gently coming down. Find a place where you're activating your hamstrings and lower back. You're feeling some nice sensation, but not taking on too much. It can be really intense. Wide-legged forward fold. Just be mindful as you come into a position. You're going to hold for a couple of breaths. Slowly come up through center. We're going to bring our knees back together. If you're not facing lengthwise on your mat, just swing your legs around so that you are. Take a hold right below your knees on your shins with your hands. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, we're going to roll down as slowly as we can. So once you come back onto your tailbone, I want you to release your hands from your knees and lower down. Slow, slow. Engage the abdomen. Come down as slowly as you can until you can't hold it anymore. You come all the way down onto your back. So knees are bent, feet are planted flat on the floor. Hands are down by your sides, pushing into the mat. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, we're going to push our hips up toward the ceiling, coming into bridge. One more big breath. Exhale, lower your hips down. Gently windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Bring your arms out into a T position. Bring your legs together. They're still bent. Knees are still bent. Feet are planted on the mat. You're going to take an inhale. On your exhale, just gently shift your hips slightly to the left and lower your knees all the way over to the right. So just a little variation on our spinal twist. Make sure both shoulders are firmly down on the mat. If you want to come a little deeper, you could turn your head to gaze over your left shoulder, but it's not necessary. Try and relax into the spinal twist. After your next exhale, slowly bring your knees up. If your head is anywhere but center, bring it back to center. Shuffle your hips back to center. On your next exhale, shuffle the hips slightly to the right. Lower the knees over to the left. Again, make sure both shoulders are really planted on the mat. If you like, you could look over your right shoulder to deepen into the twist, but it's not necessary. Find a place that feels appropriate for your body. And allow yourself to relax into it. One more breath. Slowly bring the knees back upward. Shuffle the hips back to center. Head comes back to center if it was anywhere else. Hug your knees into your chest. Parted the knees and bring your right knee towards your right elbow, armpit. Your left knee towards your left armpit. So you're hugging your knees in, but there's space between those knees. And then if you like, you could bring your right arm inside your right knee and reach for the outside of that right foot or the inside. So happy baby or stirrup. And then do the same on the left side. So arm comes inside the knee and then takes a hold of the outside or the inside edge of the foot. Pull the knees towards your armpits. Feet come up toward the ceiling, coming into happy baby or stirrup pose. Rolling around on the lower back a little bit. Feeling a nice back massage. And then if you have any final movements you'd like to take, you can go there now. So maybe you want to stretch long on your mat again or squeeze into a tiny ball, whatever feels right for your body. And then begin to prepare yourself for Shavasana. So if you'd like a drink of water or to get a sweater, put on your socks, whatever you need to get comfortable. Lying on your back. If you like, you could bend at the knees, planting the feet wider than hip width and allowing the knees to relax in towards each other for more of a restorative position. You can pick up your hips slightly off the mat and then settle them back down, making sure the lower back is comfortable. Hands could be resting at your sides, or perhaps you'd like to bring them to your belly. Or you could place your left hand over your heart and your right hand on your belly. Find a position that works for you. And once you're there, take a deep breath. Sigh it out. Second time. And once more. Release all effort from your practice. Let your breath just relax into its normal rhythm. Release every ounce of effort from your body. Allow yourself to become very soft, like you're melting into your mat. The next few breaths are for you. You've completed your practice. There's no more effort required of you. So allow yourself to be in the present. Enjoy the way your body's feeling. Don't worry about the time. I'll let you know when it's time to come back. Enjoy your rest. Slowly bring your awareness back to your body. Take a few deep breaths. I invite you to stay exactly as you are, just resting on your back. I want you to recall the intention that you set for yourself at the beginning of practice. Well, perhaps you set that intention for someone else. Recall it to mind and say it to yourself 3 times inside your head. Take a deep breath to embody your intention, and then exhale and let that intention go, sending it out into the world. You can stay exactly as you are, resting on your mat, or if you prefer, gently roll over onto your right side and bring yourself up to sit, whichever you prefer. I know this transformation is painful, but you're not falling apart. You're just falling into something different with a new capacity to be beautiful. Thank you for joining me for class today. Namaste. I'm going to end the recording now. If you like, you can stay exactly as you are in your Shavasana for as long as you like. Thank you for joining me.